let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let's start with the approval of the minutes for March 28th, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the minutes as sent to us by email, prepared for this meeting, and I move that we accept them as prepared.
I'll
Okay.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Let's move into the budget approval.
Yes, you have what was sent out to you digitally. We've updated the slide. All we've done is break down the revenues from sale of properties and transfer in. We sold the property at 118 South Kansas, closed on it. Everything was successful. We deposited $3,465. Is that deposited yet, Donna? I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, we deposited the check into the account. And then in the meantime, during our budget discussions, we used some old CDBG funds and had an ask from the city commission, and they agreed to divert $10,000 to the land bank for extra seed money. So as we stand now, we have $13,465 in the account, or will be. Will be. From that, I give you a breakdown. Most of this could go under one column, but just to kind of break it out for you, the title work, $528. Signs of marketing, we'll look to discuss that more as we move along. The sale of property, or the marketing of the properties, how we're going to go about that, whether we're doing signage, all that good stuff, but we would just want to earmark some money for that. Fees and commissions is the banking fees. We don't know if that's going to come into play or not, whether they're going to charge us the $10 a month for the account. So to be determined on that. And then mowing, we just generalized $500 for it to get us through. And then just kind of a leftover. We don't know what on the incoming lots. We don't know necessarily what the maintenance and demo requirements will be on that, but we wanted to earmark money for that as well. So are there any questions with concerns to the budget approval?
So if we have 10,000 that goes in there, Donna, because you don't know. She does.
Thank you.
Then will we have the authority to spend it all if something comes up? Or do we need, in the expenditure part of this, have a category that says other pertinent?
Yeah, if you want to be able to spend it all, you need something in there.
Yeah, okay.
And really, you can't spend any of this in '24.
Yeah.
Because you have no budget authority.
Okay.
Because we didn't do it last year to have it this year.
Yeah.
But the city will cover if you have expenses this year, and then you can pay us back next year. So I've moved all these expenses to '25. So '25 is going to look a lot more.
Yeah.
It's kind of double on everything.
Yeah.
But we need to put some more in there, maybe just in your maintenance demo to be able to spend that extra 10,000.
Yeah.
We could always do that.
And that's probably what we would spend it on.
Yeah. And plus, remember, it's not line item budget. It's the
Right.
bottom line.
Yeah.
So if you take a little here, this is just what you think will happen. It's just an estimate.
So if we had another column that had the difference between the revenue and expense plus the 10,000 and just say other land bank expenses.
It might be better just putting a maintenance demo.
Yeah,
It
okay.
would just look better.
Okay.
We could just do that. We'll just make that like 12 or whatever.
Yeah,
instead
so
of 2.
I would move that we approve the budget with those changes for the 2025 budget.
We have a motion?
I got a question, Donna. So if we don't put that in, we would have to do a budget amendment if we start at, okay.
If you want
I'll
to spend
second
more
the
than that,
motion.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just because it's in there doesn't mean you're going to spend it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We just have the
Guideline.
authority to
We have to
spend
have the
it. Like
authority to
if
spend
we
it,
wanted
yeah.
to buy a piece of property at a tax sale or something.
Yeah,
So we have a motion and we have a
I
second.
was going to say, did Chip second that? Okay.
yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No, you need to set a public hearing.
Yeah, and that's the next slide in your packet is the notice of the public hearing. We have several steps we have to go through. So like the city commission passed or approved the budget at their last commission meeting with the 10,000 additional on that. But now you have to approve it and set the public hearing. We have set a tentative date because there's certain parameters, certain dates we have to be mindful of, and probably statutory, right, that we have to adhere to. Tentatively, we've set it for the August 15th, which would be the third Thursday of the month in August. At this moment, I know you may not have your calendars handy, but is August 15th, is that amenable to you? It's same time, same place, same day?
I'm available.
Okay.
The peaches come that day. I don't know what.
I might not be available.
So, but I'm sure I can make, like if it ends up coming, I can find somebody to cover, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll make that work.
I'm available.
Okay.
Available, yep.
Well, if you're amenable to that, then we need a motion then to approve the
The notice of budget hearing.
notice
for
of budget hearing.
August 15th at 11 a.m.
I would make the motion to approve the, as presented.
Second.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right.
So we down to number 4,
Correct.
real estate acquisition policy.
Yes, now that we have monies now set aside for certain things, we'd like to have a good sound policy to help drive expending those funds. And so I know this is everybody's first look, so I'm not expecting approval today. That'll come at the August meeting that we'd look to do that. This is our time to discuss everything, make sure we have everything covered. If you guys need some time to go line by line here, however you want to do it, but open it up for discussion on the policy. And I don't know if you all have had a chance to read it yet.
I think it might be a good idea for you to maybe go paragraph by paragraph.
That's
Yeah.
kind of how I was going to roll with it.
Maybe
So-
open each paragraph up to conversation.
Excellent, yep. So mission statement, obviously the mission of the Newton Land Bank is to efficiently acquire, manage, and transform vacant, abandoned, nuisance, and/or tax foreclosed properties into productive use that benefits the community. We've established some general goals here, expand and grow the tax base of the community, strengthen and improve Newton neighborhoods, support home ownership, promote the construction of infill housing to reduce and eliminate blight, operate effectively and efficiently as stewards of the public trust, advance the economic and social interest and well-being of the city of Newton and its residents, transfer ownership of blight nuisance properties with no known legal owner to a responsible tax-paying owner, and reduce the number of properties under current violation by the city of Newton. And so starting out with policies, acquisition of properties. So that's kind of the big one in here as we're starting to go down.
Excuse me, I just have a real quick question
Sure.
on the goals. Does this tax-paying owner, would that negate any nonprofit usage from the land bank?
Repeat that again. So what, you're questioning what now?
Just a question about the goals here. It says to transfer it to a responsible tax-paying owner. Would that negate a purchase to a nonprofit?
Yeah, it could. So we could look to strike that. think
I
that's
just wasn't sure.
Or to say.
Yeah, that was the question I had, because on behalf of Habitat, when you read down through, a lot of this, it looks like it could end up being land bank running it up on, if Habitat's trying to come up with a lot, and, even if we've got to demo it, or like the lot we've been talking
Right.
about, we still need to run it through there. Well, then it kind of puts us at a position where You know, we might treat the habitat like we would treat anybody trying to bid for the property, and that could, I mean, be negative for the city.
Yeah, we can look to restructure that wording. That's not a problem. So we, like you said, or,
Just stick an or in there and,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I will mention that in my experience, land bank use tends to be for the purpose of putting it back on a tax roll. Now, this commission can do whatever they want, but that's, at the end of the day, the purpose is to make it back to a usable space that does pay property tax. I like the idea of adding that in there. I just wanted to make that a comment. Which is probably, I don't know if you mirrored this to other communities, which is
Yeah,
probably why it's set up like that.
It's a blend from multiple communities. I won't, full disclosure, I mean, that's not reinventing the wheel. This is what adherence to the statute for Kansas and the development of land banks. Yeah, we're not trying to blaze a trail here. Acquisition of properties, that's something we need to look at, how we structure that. I know, like in Pittsburgh, for instance, they have a deal where every property that comes up for a tax sale, the starting bid is from the Pittsburgh Land Bank for $1. They do not deny any properties, and I don't think beggars need to be choosers here. So we need to be careful that we're not just taking on a monster of a property. We don't have the budget that Pittsburgh does to be able to take on every single property. So at the end of the day, I know the last tax sale that several people came in and paid. They had several come and pay their taxes and basically reclaim their property. So there weren't a lot of leftovers. So I think the idea is whatever's left over and doesn't sell at the tax sale, maybe work with the county to be able to either bid on those or acquire those properties, but have the right to turn them down as well. So we're not just bidding $1 on those and then they're coming to us for $1. We might not want them for $1. They need to make sense and go along with kind of the points here for acquisition.
But this would be the easiest way to clean up the title issues.
Correct. A lot of times, yes.
So we'd sure want to take a look at,
Most definitely.
yeah.
A lot of times the properties come to the land bank, this is their last chance for redevelopment before they're just completely go off into the world of blight. So, yeah, so we definitely give them a hard look. And Brian's been very instrumental about bringing lots, and we've uncovered some liens. And I think once we get down the road where we had the challenge, I forget what street that was on, like 6th Street or 8th Street, there was a couple liens on that. That might be a point where we're running well. We might want to tackle a lot like that, where we can go to the banks and see if they'll forgive the lien on the house that's no longer there on the property. So I think that's something we can look at. But yeah, that's on the policy side. Is there any discussion on that? Okay.
Zach,
Yes.
letter C, where it says, so we'd like for rehabilitation, we'd like for redevelopment. We want to make sure that it supports the mission and the goals of the land bank, which is to acquire, manage, and transform vacant, abandoned, nuisance, and/or tax foreclosure properties into productive use. I just want everyone to make sure, everyone on this commission to know that one of the uses that we would allow for, which is in this policy, would be for expansion of green or community open space. That is in here as a possibility. Is everyone okay with that?
I think
Okay.
that's a good comment, which goes back to what I wanted to bring back up is under goals, strengthen and improve Newton neighborhoods.
Yep.
I think we need to include, because we've had to go after commercial and industrial property.
Yeah.
And tax sales, and I think you're gonna have to include that. And
Yep, we could do
in
that.
the last 3 years, we've done some
Yeah.
in tax sales.
But how do you write in the hierarchy of how we're going to make that decision? Because if you take a property
Yeah.
and move it in the land bank, and then, let's say somebody wants to buy it to put something on it,
Yeah.
and we want to make it a park.
Yeah.
Because then we end up in this public perception problem that, you didn't allow it to go back and start generating taxes. We put it into,
Sure.
so I think we've got to look at some way to, look at that.
Okay.
That is completely up to you, and I know, maybe Rod can speak to this. The way it's prioritized now may not be the way it's prioritized 5 years from now. My recommendation would be that you keep it open enough that you can shift that how you want. Perhaps you could have maybe an initiative like this year or the next couple of years, we like to have more green space. Not necessarily put it in policy, but you can put it in policy if you'd like. Things change, and I would hate for it to be set in stone, we're going to prioritize green space over infill build, and then a year from now, we decide, oh, we have too much green space, which you could change the policy. I'm just saying, keeping it fluid and open on a commission level is good because it allows for the shift in markets, and it allows for shift in wants and needs, and yeah.
So what if we added a line with something that we'd have an open community discussion prior to moving it?
Oh, yeah.
That way everybody could show up and say, hey, I want, if you got 15 people in the room saying, I want to park in my neighborhood, and one guy saying, well, I want to build another garage, then, so if we add that up front, it gives us a little bit of flexibility to read the room and.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Put that in words. Zach,
I will.
You're the word guy, Rod.
yeah.
Are we ready to move to 2 types of acquisition?
Do you know how often we have tax sales?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Chip, do you have any
I
gauge?
get the email every month, but most of the time they cancel it because
They've been paid?
properties.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're good there?
I think so.
Okay, then going into property management by Board of Trustees. I won't read it all. I'll let you.
Are you on page 8? Are we on page 8?
I'm on page 8.
Okay.
3. And again, don't feel pressure, because again, we'll revisit this in August, so I know this is everybody's first look. So if something sparks between here and now, just put a pin in it, send me a line, and we'll make sure it's included in August.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, go for it.
Do we, I know we have $10,000, and then we have one property that we intend to sell, and then we have some seed money from the purchase, or from the sale of the property we just sold. In order to sustain the land bank, can we put something in policy that we will, and this is just to make it easier for me and you, for staff, when we do decide to purchase a property, and let's say we find a lot and it's $10,000, that we don't sell it for under a certain amount to ensure that we're keeping up
Oh,
with
yeah.
with our cash flow. I know Pittsburgh, I think, is like Isn't it like 50 or 75%?
It's 75%.
Okay.
That's what we practice with the
Okay.
Kansas, the 118 South Kansas lot. I was going to say.
Is it in here? I'm
it's
sorry, I
not-
didn't.
It needs to be,
Okay.
it's going to be in the disposition of land property 7.
Okay.
And that needs, the Land Bank Board of Trustees shall set a minimum list price on all property. We could be specific and say 75%, but I
Oh,
think not having it there
Gives us some
gives us the
fluidity.
leeway.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
can set it at, just knowing that it doesn't necessarily need to be in the policy,
Sure,
75%, but that's been our rule of thumb so
I wanted to
far.
say that out loud, so this commission knows that we intend to be self-funded, that we continue to at least keep cash in the account, but make the property attractive enough for someone to buy, because it is sold at a discount.
Right.
Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
Under property management, there is a great possibility that an out-of-state owner could say, I don't want to mess with this property anymore. It's got a house on it.
Yeah.
It's livable. It's the middle of winter. Are we taking over utility responsibilities? Maintain the property.
Great question.
That is a great question.
With vacant, we probably just winterize and shut everything off,
Throw antifreeze and
or
all
case
the,
by case, yeah.
all the,
Go by the RV.
all the toilets and unhook everything.
Yep. But who's going to pay for that?
Right. Well, that would come
That'd
out of
come out of the
the,
bottom
maintenance.
It would be,
yeah, the
line,
maintenance.
demo,
Yeah, maintenance.
maintenance.
Maintenance and demo.
things like that are gonna happen. Yeah. Hopefully.
I guess my next question is, will the land bank accept properties that are in use and we will keep as is, like a home that has utilities? Will we accept properties like that? Is it the intention of us to accept? If someone says, hey, there's this house, someone's moving out, it's rentable, but I don't want it anymore, will the commission take it on?
I mean, if they want to donate, I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Wanna deed
just
it to
making sure.
us.
but
Okay.
I don't think we would want the risk of there was a tenant on site, but if vacant, would
Okay.
probably fit, right?
We'd wanna do diligence on everything.
right, and you'll have the freedom to make that decision, because again, we knew every lot's going to be different, have a special set of circumstances for each one, and everybody's in a different place with it, so. But the majority of all these are going to be tax delinquent properties, if I had to guess, so. We good there? We move to 4? So the marketing and then the sale of the land bank property, I'm not recommending that we go with a Realtor at the moment. Like, we have one property. I think we can kind of do that in-house and manage that. But as we look to acquire more properties, yes, I think it's something to give a look at, and that's why I wanted to include it in here. So we at least have that option to, or at least if we're looking to go the Realtor route, everything is defined and how we go about acquiring that service. Yeah, I'm waiting.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
So as we have this conversation, things pop up, so I apologize. I
No, that's
didn't ask
perfect.
these
This
ahead.
is what we're here
But
for.
next time when we review these, if things pop up, I might bring those back.
Okay.
But nope, we're good.
Okay. We good there? Pretty straightforward?
I do like the ad that you did there with the code enforcement violations. That'll save us some nightmares later.
Right. So you're already on to 5 qualifications for applicants?
Just reading ahead, Zach, it's a good read. I needed one today.
So moving on to 5 qualifications for applicants to purchase the land bank property. We want to make sure they're in good standing on their current taxes. For if they have other properties, make sure they're not delinquent on those as well. And then, yeah, as you said, the code enforcement section.
I wonder if it would be something that this body might consider to also see if it would be able to look at a little wider area than Harvey County, if it would help us to look into Sedgwick County as well for potential applicants to ensure that they were solid. I don't know if that's able to, but
Are we somehow restricted?
I just wasn't sure. It just said that no applicant to purchase any property from the land bank shall be delinquent on any licenses or taxes in Harvey County. But
It's pretty easy to
Agreed.
check on Sedgwick County. Sedgwick
Just wondering
County.
if we should-
Yeah, I
everything's
think we
built
should
into-
expand that, because we should have that information before we do it, I agree.
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah, and it's easy to check that out and check that box. I can't speak for any of the other counties. Butler County, I think I'll throw Butler on there. I'll just make sure, I'm pretty sure I can access all that stuff through Butler County GIS.
Are there any code violations that people might have that wouldn't necessarily mean they wouldn't be a good owner? Is getting a notice that you have limbs in a right-of-way, is that a code violation?
Can be.
That would disqualify me.
I'm out.
Should we change some of these
See, the
shalls
process
to
works.
like shoulds?
It works.
We can possibly look to reword that where, that's a good question though.
Are there
So isn't there,
tiers to the code violation?
so isn't there,
The gravity of?
because you receive notice if you get fined for it.
The fine.
I think the
part of it,
fining
you actually
part,
get the fine.
I think that's
You
where,
get a notice.
yeah.
A lot of people get notices. I
Yeah.
almost got a notice last week from my grass, the back part of my grass. I didn't know I have to mow it. But, but I didn't actually receive the notice. I got the heads up, hey, you need to mow that. And so I think it's the actual fining part. I don't know how we say that.
I don't either. I'll speak with,
I would soften it up a little
Yep.
to give us a say
I'll-
in it.
Or
Not
maybe
that I'm
habitual
interested in
violation.
property, and I did call Tuesday, because I forgot Monday, but we got a violation Tuesday after I'd called, so that shouldn't count as one of mine.
Right.
I think maybe we could also look into saying unresolved violations,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because those are usually the ones that are in court.
I like that.
yeah, I'll get with Chris too and see how we can soften this up a bit. Moving on to the requirements of purchasers.
I'd like to see us soften up that second paragraph where it says complete within 1 year. Because I think we ought to have a little bit of wiggle there, because some projects, folks are, going to need a little more time. Like if we were to take a lot right now for Habitat, we're 1 out, so I'm a 2-year build. So that'd be in violation of this.
Yeah, we could do like a TBD, like to be determined.
Yeah, case by case,
Case by case,
assessed by us, yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
There's how far behind, if somebody walked in your front door today and wanted a house built, how long would it be before you could jump on it?
We do design builds, so we can, and right now, we can start within 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe something in there that the board could automatically extend up to 2 years or 3 years,
24, yeah.
depending on plannings.
paragraph where you're talking about waiving the permit and development agreement for like yard expansions, we had quite a bit of discussion on that last property about not wanting to have a property pulled in by another homeowner just to expand their
Right.
yard. Does that contradict what we're saying here? Because again, in case by case, if you get a little itty bitty, you can't build on it sliver of grass, that's one thing. But if it's an active lot that's big enough to put something else on.
And again, this is language, like I said, this is a blend from several communities, so this doesn't necessarily need to, if it doesn't make sense, we can strike it or modify it.
So do we leave it in there in case the property that we sell is for that purpose, if we don't have any other option?
We've done that at the county-owned property.
Okay.
Two side by side bought a small lot, they split it, they paid for the survey, did all the stuff. So they
And
could expand their yards a little bit, and they were small lots
Because
to begin with.
ultimately, we're making the decision on who we sell it to, so
And
if
then-
we have another option, we can go that route,
Right.
but if we don't have an option, I think the verbiage is,
Yeah, and it does say that it may
right.
and not shall, so
Okay.
that you're not as bound to it.
Why don't you ask Chris if we added another paragraph that just said, you know, there's lots of dates and, yeah, and in every event, the land bank
Reserves the right.
reserves the right to consider everything on a case-by-case basis, and
Yes.
Okay.
that we want to be flexible and see that, our intent is that better structures are built on these properties, and, you know, however that needs to be worded.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we do that? And then not just change everything?
Okay.
So,
Everybody okay with the last paragraph there before we move on? Okay, going on to 7, disposition of land bank property. And this is where the 75% kind of falls into play here. All right.
Zach, may I ask a question about the land bank, the purchasing of the property? So it's kind of going back in the policy, but this is just more of the expectation. So now that we have some funding, I know that it's limited for 2024, but now that we have this bucket of money and we have tax sales, we have, we're going to market that we have this bank available that you can donate to. We have the sheriff's sale. We have, we spread the word with our realtors. I want to encourage this commission to, if they have an opportunity, if they see an opportunity for a lot, an area that you think might work well for a purchase, that you bring this, that you bring it. The expectation is from staff to, Zach will be actively looking for wonderful, awesome opportunities, but I encourage, you are all out in the community, you see these lots, please bring those, because I'd love to see this land bank to actually be a functioning, working, get pieces of property in it, get them marketed, get them sold, buy another property. I like it to be a very working land bank because I've seen very successful land banks and they are active land banks. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I actually was looking yesterday and I saw something on Marketplace, but people want a lot of money for pieces of land. So we're gonna have to be very ingenious. We're gonna have to be, we're gonna have to use our negotiation skills. That's where Zach comes in to open up the land bank idea to people who may want to give property up, may want to, maybe has a big lot and they don't know what to do with it. Yeah, that's what I want.
Perfect example of what she's talking about is, for instance, if you got a property owner like in our industrial area and our fire chief's looking to site another fire location or first responder location, you could donate that person could donate just a couple acres of their property and use that to write off the value of that on their taxes. And not everybody's tax bill is created equal. So you just don't know what situation they're in. And then, like I said, Brian's done a very good job of bringing lots to us and then letting Chris and myself, we start vetting those lots and running see if there's any problems with them. So, and usually there are. There's a lot. There's usually a few. So, but yeah, to speak to what Daniela said, please, yeah, anything, like even if it's just on a rumor or whatever it is, we'll buy the rumor, sell the news. So, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go back to the last paragraph.
Okay.
And then go to requirements of purchasers of land banks, item 6, the second paragraph. We require that 1 year from the date of purchase, construction should be completed, but on the last page, it says we have to have the deed ready for them conveyed within 180 days. How many people are gonna wanna spend a lot of money on property if they don't have the deed in hand and it's been filed, even though there's a bill of sale?
We can speed that up because we're not going to take 180 days with that. We can look to, that might be another community's practice, but it won't be ours. But we'll make sure our language, I'll get with Chris and make sure our language of when we file and do everything is more geared towards what we do.
Yeah.
That work?
Thank you.
Would it make sense to almost do the opposite, where nothing is done until a deed is in hand?
Till it's been filed.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that
We
too.
ought to be able to knock that out in 30 to
That's-
60 days.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the time.
We do.
Because we've done title searches by then. We
Right.
should know if there's a glitch.
Right.
Well,
No-
it's just, like 118 South Kansas, we already had that teed up at the title company, ready to go. So it was just kind of plug it. It was more doing housekeeping on our end to make sure we could sell it and then receive funds and open a bank account.
When I read that, I just assumed that their 6-month wouldn't start until after
After it.
the
it
deed
could take
was
that long.
filed, yeah. But,
I used to work for Sedgwick County. Does anyone know Bud Palmer?
yeah.
Bud used to do the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Cells, and he would tell everybody repeat after me. You cannot do anything on your property until you have your deed in your hand. Now, everybody say this with me. And then we'd have the sheriff's cell, and then he'd say, all right, let's repeat what we said before, because people would leave that sheriff's cell, and they'd go to the property and start kicking people out. And so I think it's important that we make sure we have title in hand.
Yeah, I like that.
Go to Bud Palmer.
So just along that same line, so if they don't do anything until they have the deed, and that could take 3 months, does the maintenance of the property start?
Start then.
When?
Ooh,
It's our maintenance until they have the deed.
yeah.
I mean, in a
That's
legal
how
sense.
that's how I see
Just
it.
want to
but
make sure, because
I'll get a good determination on that, but
Yeah.
that's how it makes sense to me.
Perfect. Any further discussion on anything?
This was the best meeting you've ever ran.
That's because I didn't do much of the talking.
Well, no action on this item, so if you're ready, you can adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.